This is a basic introduction to applicator setup procedures. Now it's going to take some time for you to learn all the different applicators that Fargo has, and new ones will always be coming in. So don't get discouraged. Ask a lot of questions to your supervisor or your maintenance personnel. They're there to help you. And remember, the more you know about these applicators, the easier your job will be and the more valuable an employee you'll become. The two applicators we're going to be focusing on today are Tyco applicators. There are two different types of Tyco applicators. One is a side feed, and it's named that because the terminals feed from the side. The other is a rear feed because the terminals come from the rear to the front. Before starting with any applicator, check a few main points and it'll save you a lot of time on your setup. Check the current terminal strip that's in the applicator. Sometimes, and most times, there's only one terminal to one applicator. Check to see if the applicator has been marked with white markings. This will denote that the applicator was set up properly and should run properly with one terminal. If for some reason these white markings don't line up, talk to your supervisor. The previous user may have made some changes and not notified the supervisor. Now, even if the terminal and markings are in place, you should still go through the next few steps to ensure the applicator is ready to run. First, use compressed air to clean the applicator of any debris left over from the previous user. Generally, the debris will build up here and back through the applicator. Make sure to give it a good cleaning. It doesn't take long and it helps out with the maintenance of the applicator. Second, remove the ram. Second, you want to remove the ram. First thing is, remember where the ram was placed as far as the crimp ring for both the insulator and the core. The core is up top, the insulator is down below. You remove the ram by lifting the feed finger, right here, and moving the mechanism in. Now this will take some effort because the mechanism is also tied to this spring. At the same time, pull the ram out. Watch your fingers because the spring is strong. Next, check for lubrication. It doesn't take a lot to keep an applicator properly lubricated. Just look for the blue oil on all sides. Now, if it looks dry or it looks like no one has lubricated it, talk to your supervisor. They'll bring a maintenance person there to lubricate it. Do not use spray lubricant on these parts. The spray lubricant isn't made for this. Next, check for any terminals in the tooling. In this situation, we have an old terminal that's been stuck from previous use. This can cause damage the next time the tooling is used. Right there. Next, check to see if the anvil has been tightened and locked into place. At times, this screw, which keeps the anvil in place, will get loose. You want to make sure that this is firmly in place. If it moves, you could damage the tooling. Finally, replace the ram. You replace the ram by putting it into the base, lifting the feed finger, and pushing the mechanism in. Basically the same way you remove the ram. Once again, the spring is very tight and it might take a couple of times for you to put the ram all the way down. Now that the applicator is ready to run, we're going to go through the steps of setting the progression and bell mouth. The progression is how the applicator moves the terminal to the anvil for termination. If the progression is properly set, it will move the next terminal into place directly over the anvil. If not, well, we got some problems. So we're going to start with the back feed first. Put the applicator into the equipment and hand cycle or slow cycle. I can't stress this enough. Initially, do not put any terminals into the tooling. Just slowly hand cycle or slow cycle. The reason is, the tooling at times could possibly crash. This would destroy the anvil and also destroy all the punches, which would take your terminal and your applicators down for the day. If the tooling doesn't crash, the next step is to put your terminals into the tooling. With a back-fed applicator, the brake is basically this sheet of metal with these two springs. You have to lift the sheet of metal and you have to lift the feed finger. At the same time, pushing the terminals through. Once you fed the terminal strip, align it so that the last terminal is just over the anvil. It's right there. Now there are a number of adjustments that you could make to change the progression. Right now we're only going to focus on one. This screw and this set screw. Let's see if I can give you a better view. The set screw and the actual screw that changes the progression. First, you want to loosen the set screw. As I had mentioned before, there should be a white mark that signifies where the set screw is tightened down. In addition, there should be a white mark that signifies where the correct location of the progression screw is. Once you've loosened the set screw, you can begin to make adjustments to the progression screw. Only make quarter turn increment adjustments to this screw. Reason is, a quarter turn can make a very big difference in the feed finger progression. In addition, if you make adjustments that are greater than a quarter turn increment, you tend to lose sight of where you began, which then really causes problems for the entire setup of the applicator. A quarter of a turn clockwise moves the feed finger back and the terminal back. Conversely, a quarter of a turn backwards moves the feed finger forward and the terminal forward. I'm going to put this back to where the markings were, and after you finish making your adjustments, make sure to lock the set screw back into place. If you don't, the progression will change in the middle of your run, and that would be bad. In most cases with a back-fed die, you will be positioning the feed finger at the core crimp. Unfortunately, I can't get a good shot for you to see. Ask your supervisor or your maintenance personnel specifically where the core crimp is. In your basic knowledge of your job, you'll understand it and you'll understand it quickly. Now, I said in most cases it will be fed at the core crimp. This is not the case for all back-fed applicators. If you're having problems with where the feed finger is positioned in the progression, ask your supervisor for assistance. With the backfed applicator, the bell mouth is also controlled by the progression. So make sure your progression is spot on before you continue. Once you believe you have the terminals in the correct position with the correct progression set, hand cycle or slow cycle the applicator again. Check your crimp heights, and you're ready to run. If you don't understand how these adjustments were made or why, ask your supervisor or ask your maintenance person. Trust me, they didn't get it right the first time, and neither will you. Be patient, don't get discouraged, ask questions, and you will learn.